Hi and welcome to Cynics. Today, I'll be showing you a 2021 American action thriller film that centers around a man, Hutch Mansell, who unveils his shadow self after seeks revenge after having his home burgled. Relax and enjoy. Hutch Mansell, married to Becca Mansell, is a compliant suburban family man and neighbor who is less worrisome about anything at all around him. He's simply about his daily routine, without having to connect with anyone around him. One Monday night, as Hutch checks on his children, he discovers two masked petty thieves have already burgled his home. As they make their way into the house using a torchlight, Hutch makes an attempt to call for help through the telephone but is caught and made to drop the phone. They demand for his money and valuables. As one of them tries to remove Hutch's wristwatch, Hutch takes a mental note of the tattoo drawn on her wrist. His son Blake acts in a superhero manner and takes down one of the thieves, hoping his dad will take on the second one, but Hutch hesitates despite holding a weapon in his hand and asks his son to leave him. This earns his son a punch to his face. Unfortunately, this throws Hutch into the bad light with his family and his neighbors because he simply failed to defend his family. Hutch's brother-in-law hands him a gun at work, just in case he'd be needing it in the future. He hesitates, but his brother-in-law insists for him to keep his sister safe. Hutch usually has these talks with some audio guy, and he discussed what went down last night with the thieves, as requested. Hutch narrates his experience with the thieves, a male and a female, in their late 20s, and states that the gun was actually empty. Surprisingly, Hutch goes ahead to visit his dad at the care home, but his dad points out to him that he doesn't look okay. On getting back home to his family, Hutch realizes that the thieves stole his daughter's kitty cat bracelet, and this unleashes a long-dormant quest for justice. Hutch tours the city, visiting tattoo shops looking for the particular tattoo he took mental note of during the robbery to point him in the direction of the owner. Hutch gets to the house of those thieves and is only able to retrieve his wristwatch at gunpoint, but they deny having the kitty cat bracelet. Hutch is distracted by the cry of a baby in the room, their baby, and he automatically feels sympathy for the baby. He forces himself out of their house, frustrated, hitting his fist against the wall, leaving bruises around his knuckles. Hutch is on a bus back home, but the journey is abruptly disturbed by a gang of drunken men, constituting nuisance. Some passengers are forced to leave the bus, but Hutch remains with this girl. Hutch is rather excited to see them, as he sends the bus driver out and takes her phone, so he can deal with them, saying to himself that the girl's going to get home safe tonight and he hopes the gang like hospital food. Hutch deals mercilessly with these men, and leaves the bus with lots of injuries, as he apologizes to the bus driver for the mess he might have caused. Hutch is back home to meet his wife still awake, unable to sleep. She asks him where he's been. His only response is that it's been a hell of a day with bloodstains all over his body. Becca tends to his wounds. As he confesses that he's missed her, she responds by saying she has always been there with him. Julian, a connected, funded sociopath and manager at Opshack, who uses singing and dancing to cover up his dirty works, receives a call about his little brother's critical condition, Teddy. In the hospital, Julian is furious and all he is about now is finding who did this to Teddy. Unfortunately, Hutch's debit card had fell off and one of the victims had it. Hutch, back home rather rejuvenated this time, receives a call from his audio-talking pal, telling him of the consequence of what he did last night with those men on the bus. Hutch visits the barber's shop to get to know this Julian he'd be dealing with. Julian is able to hack his debit card, and the only lead he's able to get is Hutch's aged father in the nursing home. Julian is finally able to know Hutch through pictures sent from a file, tagged nobody, and requests that he be brought alive. Hutch prepares dinner for his family, but not long before they start to dine, Hutch notices some strange-looking cars near his house. He immediately knows what this is all about. He hurriedly moves his wife and kids to the basement and instructs his wife not to call 911. Armed men, all masked, storm his house, and after a very tense battle, Hutch is made unconscious and taken away in the back of a vehicle. Hutch is able to find a way out of the vehicle, killing the rest of Julian's men, including Pavel, his favorite guy. Hutch runs back home to his wife and kids to let them out of the basement, but he wouldn't let Becca in on anything yet. She promises to take the children to a place they'll all be safe, and asks her husband to come back, then they could discuss this. Hutch arranges the near-dead Julian's men left behind at his place on the couch and tells them a little story before informing them he'll be burning up the place with them in it. As promised, Hutch sets the whole house up in flames and walks away with his neighbor's inherited car. Before now, Hutch already called his dad to give him heads up on the thing he said he was going to do earlier, how it got escalated. So when Julian's men arrived at the nursing home, Hutch's dad already had everything figured out. Hutch offers Becca's dad some bars of gold to buy off their property. His brother-in-law tries to resist, but is stopped by Hutch. Becca's dad quickly accepts the offer and gives the place to Hutch, taking his bars of gold. Julian hears on the news about the unfortunate accident involving his men and makes a call to send for all of his men. Hutch gets busy at his new place, making new weapons for the battle he's got ahead. Hutch heads straight to Opshack, killing every of Julian's men on his way, and burns all of Julian's money to ashes, which also includes those of his investors too. Hutch sits comfortable at Julian's show, drawing Julian's attention to him. And he must say that Hutch has some nerves to come sit at his show. Underneath a white cloth is a bomb fixed to Hutch's fingers. With this he asks for a moment with Julian alone, because by this time, Hutch was already surrounded with guns pointed at him. Julian yields to his request, and asks his men to leave. Hutch gives Julian two options. They either settle their differences right there and then, or they start a war. Julian is furious to find out all his money is burnt, but Hutch said he started it by bringing men to his house first. Hutch gives him time to think things over as he makes his way through Julian's men out of the show house. Hutch has his fingers crossed in his car as he awaits Julian's decision. Not long after, Julian storms out of the show house and orders his men to get the cars and pursue Hutch intensely. Hutch only manages to escape the attack and the heated car chase into a warehouse where he meets backup. His backup happened to be his audio pal and his dad from the nursery home. Turned out the old man needed this more than Hutch himself. As the gun battle ensues, with a few mines and bombs in some places, Hutch and his team are able to take as many of Julian's men as possible. His friend sustains a gunshot injury to his chest, and this scatters their formation. They unfortunately run out of bullets, and Hutch takes the bold step of running into Julian with a bomb, shielding himself with a windshield. Hutch thanks his dad and his friend for their support, as this would have been very hard for him to conquer. The police siren sounds nearer by the second, and Hutch immediately dismisses his dad and friend, that he'll handle the police. Hutch makes a call to Becca, promising to be a better man if she gives him another chance. Hutch finds a kitten and he's immediately drawn to it. As he gets investigated by the police, he's being asked who he is. His answer simply is, "Me, I'm nobody." Both police investigators simultaneously receive a call, and like that, Hutch is free to go. 3 months later, Hutch and Becca go in search of a new house. With the aid of a house agent, a call comes in for Hutch through the agent's phone. Upon ending the call, Hutch and Becca exchange a glance, and Hutch asks if the house has a basement, as this call warrants that they'll be needing one, totally understood by Becca. Remember to like and subscribe for more interesting videos like this. Thanks for watching.